Governor, thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you
Sir,
for being here, and I wish you nothing but the best success with the book.
thank you.
Congratulations on completing the book. I have some questions for you regarding the state of our politics and the state of where we are right now as we look ahead towards the final stretch of the 2024 race. And I'd also like to look at the state of Georgia and ask you some questions about that, particularly your involvement with the Democracy Defense Project.
Right.
I would like to know, what is the intent behind that project, and what is your role with that project?
Well, there are four of us, two Republicans and two Democrats. Senator Saxe Chambliss and I are the Republicans, and Roy Barnes, the former governor, is the Democrat, and Shirley Franklin, the former mayor of Atlanta, is the other Democrat. The purpose of this group is to try to make sure that people do not become so disenchanted with our system that they fail to vote. Those who try to stir up rumors and innuendos and false accusations that our elections are not safe and they're not secure, I think they do a lot of damage to our democracy. And we're just, as a group, trying to say we don't want anyone or any group to interfere with the election process. We don't want people to be scared away from the ballot box. So that's basically the underlying purpose of this Defense of Democracy Fund.
Do you feel that the public's attitude or perception towards public service and public servants has changed in any way since you were in office?
I definitely think it has, and that's unfortunate. And as a result, we hear people saying on both sides, why do we have such extreme positions and nobody's in the middle? Well, most of the American voters, in my opinion, are somewhere in the middle. And neither candidate, unfortunately, is appealing to the middle. They're appealing to the extremes. I credit that to the fact that to get through a political party process nowadays, get through the primary, you have to go, as a Republican, you have to go to the right. As a Democrat, you have to go to the left. So if the average middle of the road candidate can't get through the party process, then he never gets on the main ballot. So that's what we're seeing happening. And I think political parties are going to have to re-examine their role in this whole process.
Do you feel that the parties have become too focused on the extremes?
Well, absolutely. You look at what the platforms are, and you look at what the result of the voting in primaries, it tends to be the one that is the most extreme that gets the most votes. And that leaves the public with extremes from both sides and don't have a chance to vote for the person that may be a more moderate candidate.
Do you feel with Georgia being, in the spotlight in a huge way this election, do you feel that the vote count is going to be safe and secure this year?
I have every reason to believe that it is, and I've seen nothing to indicate otherwise.
There are some on the state executive side, current and former, that would certainly agree with the characterizations that you have made about the state of our politics and the state of partisanship. One particular person, the former Lieutenant Governor, Jeff Duncan, spoke recently at the Democratic National Convention. Mm-hmm. And there he said that his journey, in his words, to that podium was that he realized that the Republican candidate, former President Donald Trump, would, in his words, lie, cheat, and steal in order to overturn the 2020 election results. Do you share the sentiments of the former Lieutenant Governor about the former president?
No, I do not. I do not. I think there's some things about the former president that most of the public do not know. I've had the opportunity to be with him in private settings, excuse me, when I was governor. I don't think most people know that his children, they don't smoke, they don't drink, they don't do drugs. They're very upstanding young people. He doesn't drink either. He stopped drinking because he had a brother who was an alcoholic and who died from alcoholism. I wish he would tell the public more about that side of who he is. Unfortunately, that has not been the case up to this point.
What could he do differently?
Well, I think he could just say, you know, yes, I do have wealth, but I try to raise my children to be respectable citizens in this country. And he obviously has done that. So, you know, that's a message that a lot of people would like to hear, because they're certainly not hearing that. They're seeing on the other side with President Biden's family, they're seeing the exact opposite of that. So that's the contrast that I think would have more value to family-oriented voters, but it's not coming out.
It's not coming out. How do you feel about the state of the Georgia Republican Party?
Well, I have not really been active in the party since I left public office, so I really don't feel comfortable commenting about that. But I do think the party needs to be careful that it does not try to pull people too far away just for the sake of party identification. They need to be focused, as does the Democrat Party, they need to be focused more on what the everyday citizen, the everyday voter, who's not going to be ever attending a Democrat rally or a Republican rally, but fortunately they vote. And they're the ones that are going to make the difference in this election and have always made the difference in the past. What this Defense of Democracy project is to make sure that those people don't get so discouraged that they simply don't vote.
Do you intend to make an endorsement for either candidate for president this
Probably not. My endorsements don't mean anything anymore. So, as one of my friends told me one time, and it's the old saying, I'll either be for you or against you, whichever one will help you the most.
Well, one last question, because your reason for being here, of course, is about this book, and you spoke about this is a time of tremendous volume, and that volume is intimidating, it's overwhelming for people. So where should we look? What should we look towards to try to move past, or at least get away from the noise?
Well, that's the difficulty. I think the media bears some of the blame for this. It's much easier to get a sensational story by those who become fringe people. That's the ones that sometimes are projected as the average American, and they are not. And so I think everybody has some responsibility in this whole process. You know, I'm a historian by nature and by my favorites, but George Washington, was very much opposed to political parties. He said it would destroy our political process. He may have been much wiser than we ever thought he was, but it's moved a long way. I was asked to teach a class to adult citizens up in the Gainesville area a year ago, and they said, you can pick your topic as to what you want to talk about. Well, I had just finished reading the biography of Benjamin Franklin. And, you know, in 1787, I guess it was, when they were finishing up the writing of our Constitution, and they had the doors and the windows sealed in the middle of the summer in Philadelphia as they were deliberating, and they didn't let anybody know anything, talk about no open and transparent process. It certainly was not. But as they came out, this lady supposedly asked Dr. Franklin, Dr. Franklin, what have you given us? And his answer was a classic answer, a republic if you can keep it. So the title of my class that I taught was The Keeping of the Republic. As we went through that process, I learned, as did my students, we really don't have a republic anymore. We have a democracy. Democracy was a word that our founding fathers despised because they associated it with mob rule. I think our challenge is to not let that definition of democracy become a true definition in our time. So we all have responsibilities.
Governor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Glad to
appreciate
see you.
very much.
Thank you, sir.
Very much.